He's on his way. I'm going to text him right now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. With a slight delay, I'm going to open up tonight's meeting. It's 6:13. We do have a quorum of commissioners. There are 3 here physically present and 1 that has zoomed in online. So a quorum is, we need 4 as a necessary quorum. Tonight's meeting is for Thursday, March 9th, 2023, taking place in the events room at the Mashpee Library, 64 Steeple Street, Mashpee, Mass. We also are recording this. Mashpee TV is here to record the session. Before I begin, if you would stand and join me in a Pledge of Allegiance. There is a flag out this window in the parking lot. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. How you feeling? Sorry. It's okay. We did get her in, so.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is start getting to...
We just can't hear her, though. Is there, how can we make it so we
You can't hear her?
Well, they can.
I can hear her over the
Like
laptop.
if somebody is presenting.
It's not coming over the audio. No.
So is there any audio problem between here and Zoom participants?
I have to get Zoom participants on because it's a different meeting ID and passcode. So I'll have to start sending emails out as we speak. This is what it comes down to. You have
Is there
Zoom
another microphone?
on Aaron's email for this?
We do have a little one
Yeah.
here,
I sent it to Zoom.
but that's for the camera.
I did. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here, so I'll stay here. I don't need to be on Zoom.
Okay. So we're good to start. All right. Okay, so I will start tonight's meeting with public comment. If there is anyone here present that would like to comment on anything that's not contained on our agenda, this would be the time. If you can have your name and address for the record, that would be great.
I've written it down, but I will give it to you as well.
Okay, great.
Lynn Barbie, 73 Surf Drive. Let me get the spelling right from here. So, I went to the ZBA meeting the other night, last night, and was really astonished at the decision they made to allow the building of this project that had been subject to the lawsuit. So I came here tonight because they also said last night that the Conservation Commission had approved it. So I would like, if somebody could, at some point, explain to me, layperson here, how, when the lawsuit said no, did the conservation already approve it before the lawsuit? The lawsuit came in late. And how can the Conservation Commission approve something that was being built on the subject to coastal flooding, whatever that is? Because it's really astonishing to me that we continue to give permission for people to build on the water and build a house twice as big, because it's the footprint from the current place was 1,700 feet, and they're going to do 2,900 feet or something. And there were 2 people there who are abutters who testified in person that it was very detrimental to them. I just don't understand what the rules are to allow that stuff to continue to happen. And that's why I'm here. Maybe if somebody at some point can explain it to me, maybe not tonight, I know you got a full list here, but it's just really puzzling to a lot of us that this keeps going on, and we have to make everything less detrimental, not just allow it to be not more detrimental. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment? Okay. Before we go into our pre- and post-hearing agenda, I actually have a comment as chair of the Conservation Commission that I will read into tonight's record. I would like to take a few minutes to address recently printed newspaper materials as well as postings to various online social media platforms regarding this commission, its agents, and those commissioners who volunteer their time to serve as stewards of our local environment. Differences of opinion based on fact can lead to compelling and productive dialogue. It is indeed the cornerstone of reaching a consensus with many issues. When a difference of opinion based on misinformation, perhaps disinformation, is put forward, it can only lead to a level of little productivity or result. I have a deep respect for all commissioners as well as our agents and staff. Saying thank you for what you do seems inadequate, as I know the work and effort each of you contribute week after week to facilitate our roles and exercise our responsibilities. As you know, one such responsibility is to perform site visits when needed, which are authorized under Form 3, Access to Property Permission. No filing is complete without this signed form by an applicant or a property owner and their representative. Site visits can be very time-consuming, but many jobs, due to their complexities, make these visits necessary. There is much to be done to deal with the environmental issues we are all facing, and I admire not only your work ethic, but your continued dedication and respect you give to everyone you come in contact with. I invite all residents of Mashpee to join us in doing whatever possible to help us address our current environmental crises. Thank you. And with that, I guess I'd just go right to the first hearing because we had a late start.
Yeah.
So I'll go directly into tonight's hearings, and we'll get back to the pre- and post-agenda items when we complete the hearings. So now calling the 6 o'clock hearing for James Whitney, NJCJ LLC, 20 Metacomet Road. This is a proposed reconfiguration of a previously approved float and the installation of a pier section. Representative is Falmouth Engineering Incorporated. It is a continuation from 1/26/23 public hearing notice was not published in the 1/20/23 Mashpee Enterprise, continued from 2/9 for shellfish mitigation. We have a request tonight to continue this hearing to March 23rd at 6:09, and the reason for that is to revise the plan based on meeting with the Conservation Shellfish and Department of Natural Resources. So I would entertain a motion
I'll make
to-
a motion to continue this meeting to March 23rd at 6:09 for 21 minutes on the.
Thank you, Alex. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Thank you. I think we got about 2 seconds on that.
I think Aaron beat you to it.
Sorry, Sandy. Any discussion amongst the commissioners for the motion we have on the table? Hearing none, I will take a roll call vote. Alex? Sandy?
Yes.
Thank you. Aaron? That's a yes, and I vote yes as well. Motion carries unanimously. Now calling the 6:03 hearing for Michael J. Price, 152 Pompanesett Island Road, proposed vista pruning, Representative Kenny's Landscaping. This is a notice of intent. Do we have?
They would be on Zoom.
They're on Zoom.
They're on Zoom?
Well, they would be able to the original Zoom meeting.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So
They're
it
probably
makes,
waiting to be invited to the original.
Oh, right. So there's no way we can find them at this point?
So if we have her email,
Yeah.
on there, maybe she just sent her the Zoom invite, we could just resend them.
I think we better I would recommend that we just continue on their behalf due to technical difficulties.
Okay.
There's no way we can know how long it's gonna take for them to see that email and respond, and I think it's just better.
procedurally, can we, move to the next one while we're trying to get them on?
Yeah.
Can we revisit them if they are on?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay, so I would accept a motion to take this hearing out of order and proceed to the next one with the hopes that we can connect with the representative via email and then come back to it if that motion is there.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to take it out of order.
Okay.
And revisit if we can get them on.
Later in the evening,
Yeah,
okay?
and then if not, we'll continue.
All right, thank you. Second to that motion?
Sure.
Thank you, Sandy. Any discussion?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, hearing none. Alex?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Aaron? That's a yes, and I vote yes as well. Motion carries. Okay,
So
so,
I need just a moment to discuss with Dan how to reach this
sure,
applicant.
okay.
Yeah.
I hate these away games.
So you're gonna send, do you need her email? We're gonna see if they have it. Okay. Just give us a moment.
Can we move on while you're doing that or no?
I'd rather you wait, if that's okay.
Well, hold on.
It's just gonna take a minute or so.
Okay.
6:06, we move to.
Okay, I got her email. Did you finally get the? Okay. Okay.
So that's it?
Yeah.
We're good?
No.
Okay, now calling the 6:06 hearing for Daniel D. Mackin and Lauren W. Morris, 14 Grand Vista. This is a proposed modification to existing landscaping and hardscaping. Representative is Baxter Nye Engineering and Surveying. This is continued from February 9th, 2023 and February 23rd, 2023. It's an amended order of conditions. Good evening, sir. Can we have your name?
Good evening. For the record, Matthew Eddy, professional engineer with Baxter Nye Engineering and Surveying, representing the applicant and owner, Daniel McMackin. As you just stated, this is a continuance from 2/9 and then also the prior last hearing. The project amendment that we're requesting is a minor change to the limit of work and, thank you, Drew. Sorry to hear you're not feeling well again. It's a proposed minor amendment to the limit of work and some slight changes to the hardscape. Could you possibly go to the other sheet? There you go, thanks, Drew. Real quick, I'll point to the screen here. I know it's gonna be difficult for you where it's right directly behind you.
That's all right.
But if I could, I'll just outline, you'll see on the plan, the existing, it's a gray line on the plan, that's the existing approved limit of work. The minor adjustments that we're requesting, you can see it's very de minimis change here from that line there to just slightly to the left. And part of that, it's just creating access around the house. There's a bay window that was added here that projects off the house, so just trying to get a little bit of a walking area around the back of the house. The deck area back here, that is the same, but there's stairs that were added. And then the majority of the change is actually out next to the garage. This is in Willow Bend Golf Course and Country Club, and many of the houses, this one included, has a small golf cart bay, and they want to create just a little shell driveway access here for the golf cart bay. So that's really where the change in hardscape is occurring. And so you can see the limit of work with creating that shell driveway. We put a stone wall in here, so it's just gonna be a natural stone wall. And then the limit of work shifts from here, we're shifting it out and then creating grading here. This area that's graded will be then re-landscaped with buffer plantings off of the cooperative list, so appropriate, native plantings. And again, all of this work here, this is all in the outer riparian of the riverfront. It's the only resource area that's included on this lot. The house, as you can see, has been, is set as close as it can be to the roadway, Grand Vista, based on zoning, building setbacks, et cetera. So, most of this additional hardscape, again, being Seashell Drive, is located in the very outer riparian area. I reviewed this with Drew. I believe he feels that this was a reasonable request. The limit of work disturbance that we're requesting is slightly over the 5,000 square feet as allowed under the riverfront area. We're at about 5,300 square feet. We felt that that was a de minimis increase, and the increase is literally this area right along here, so it's only about 10 feet wide to the side of the house. The back edge here has not been modified. The stream is to the north of the property. There's over the minimum distance, which is about here, is over 125 feet to the stream areas. That's contiguous wooded area, all undisturbed, part of the open space of Willow Bend. So this additional area is just falling to the side of the house, and as you know, these are all lots. I think the aerial that Drew had up is actually an older aerial because there's a house that sits here now, and a house, yes, there's a house that sits here now, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if there's one that's been filed to you yet, because I know I was contacted on it, but I wasn't able to assist the applicant, but I believe, to the right, this is a lot, and if it's not already in process, it will be shortly. So, you have a, fragmented, wooded area between each lot, and so that's the only additional impact that we're requesting, where we go over the 5,000 square feet, and again, we're then going to revegetate that area with plantings off of the cooperative list. So the lawn area is the same. It meets the Mashpee regulation for the maximum allowed lawn area in the lot within your jurisdiction. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One question, I know at our last hearing, I believe it was on the 23rd, the hang-up was that we weren't, we didn't have assurance that we weren't exceeding the 5,000 square foot disturbance. So can you confirm tonight that that indeed is the case?
Well, no, we are. As I just said, we're at 5,300, about 5,300 square feet. It's in the narrative that I submitted, and also the initial 2-9 hearing. It was also in the narrative that was submitted that we were over the 5,000 square feet. After that hearing, I discussed it with Drew because we'd had some dialogue before the prior hearing, and I think we just had a little bit of a miscommunication between the two of us as far as what I thought he said he was okay with and what he thought I was saying, I think. And again, I'll let Drew speak to that as necessary. But we are over the 5,000 square feet.
Can I have that figure again, Matt?
I'm sorry?
Can I have that figure again? 5,
Yeah, it's in the narrative. It's 5,377.
377.
Yep. And from the what Drew and I had discussed, I mean, again, with the location of where that is, as far as the performance standards of the riverfront, we've identified that in the narrative. We feel we are still fully meeting the intent of the performance standards. The being habitat area, we have again, riverfront talks about a 100-foot minimum. We're 125 feet plus, and then erosion, water quality stabilization is all not affected by that additional 300 square feet. Again, with this location, everything is going to be stabilized. You have, again, a significant buffer to the river. We also have at the back edge of the disturbed area, so the lawn area in the back, we have this dry well, and the way with this grading will work, it's actually bermed up slightly here, so again, there's no runoff off of the back lot, and it'll be picked up by this dry well, on site and infiltrated there. So we believe all the performance standards required under the riverfront area are met.
Other questions from commissioners?
So the permanent altered area is proposed to be 5,377. What was it
Correct.
prior?
The approval that's in place right now, it's like 4,999, I believe it was.
So do you think we would have gotten that permit if it was over the 5,000?
I don't know, I mean, possibly, yeah. I mean,
So I think,
it's a modification that, during the construction, it's not uncommon that, certain things change in the field as they're under construction, and we're trying to address the change that has come up, and the applicant is requesting this change.
yeah, so I think we ultimately approved it initially, given that it met the 5,000 square foot alteration.
Yeah.
And it was under it. I think if they want an area for a shell driveway for their golf carts,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to put it somewhere in the front yard that's outside of that area.
Well, and that doesn't work for the house layout.
Yeah, so, I don't know, I'm a little hung up on that. It was approved initially because it fit within the regs. And
Yeah.
then now this
Well, that's,
amendment is going above and beyond that. And it is only, 377 square feet, but at the end of the day, it's 376 square feet. So
yeah, but it's also, I believe it's a, de minimis as to the additional area over 5,000 square feet. I think the location of it to the side of the house, so it's between all of the houses that you have within Willow Bend, like you would have within any development. So the value of that area that's being additionally impacted as far as the performance standards under the riverfront, I don't think are compromised at all. I think, and I understand your point, but it's one of those things that does happen. I mean, I'm sure this board, this commission has seen it many times where, projects come back when they're under construction, things do change. There's changes on projects as things are being built, and they determine, something needs to be adjusted, and, that's why we're here. I think that's part of, why there is an amendment process as well, understanding, everything has to be weighed by the commission, so.
Any other questions, Alex?
I think Erin had a question, and I can reiterate it for her.
Yeah, because it's going to be right here. Sure.
Erin, you have a question?
I think that it may have gotten answered. I just had some trouble hearing the gentleman who was presenting. So I think Alan answered it, which is it's over what was previously approved by some 300 square feet, right?
377 square feet over the 5,000 square foot threshold.
And I was just wondering, how did that come about? I didn't understand how that change needed to happen. I missed part of this.
So Erin is asking, what is the need for this exceedance of 5,000 square feet?
It's to accommodate that gravel, that seashell area to be able to get access for the golf cart bay.
So it's for access to the golf cart, a gravel area for access to the golf cart bay. That's
It's just, it's not wide enough right there.
and the section that you highlighted previously, Matt, with the grading changes,
Yep.
is that over on the right side?
Oh, yeah, here, yep.
So if that is
Yeah,
not,
I mean, that could be tightened up a little bit. It's just the grading with the, having to tie into the existing topography. And
there's
just
no
having a little bit of
hardscaping,
an,
it's just grading, no hardscaping?
no hardscaping. And that's grading, and then it's gonna all be, re-landscaped, revegetated with, buffer plantings, not ornamental plantings, buffer plantings off of the cooperative list.
Okay.
So that'll actually, that'll restore, habitat and so forth there.
Yes, Erin, she has one more question.
Okay.
So was the golf cart aspect of this in the original plan, or was this added?
It was added. I mean, initially, they actually wanted to try to do a bump out on the building here. And I told them, I said, didn't think it would fly, I didn't think it would work. And so they've added a small golf cart
Gravel area.
door to,
So it was added Aaron, not part of the original proposal,
Yeah.
part of this amended request, yeah.
Any other questions from commissioners? Hearing none, Drew, I'll come back to you for comments, or Dan might be giving them, and I'll take comments. We'll take comments from anyone here that's present, or questions. Hearing none, I'll take comments from you as well, Drew.
Sure. So, I did have discussion with this, with the amended request with Matt. Originally, and I apologize because my comments aren't really reflective of what is this most recent proposal. So even though I said it can't exceed 5,000 square feet, I did have a discussion with Matt about this additional square footage of alteration within Riverfront. And basically explained to him that if you can demonstrate that this alteration, and this is in the regs, anyone has the opportunity to present an argument that if you're going to go over the 5,000 square foot threshold for alteration within Riverfront, you have to present the burden of proof that it's not going to adversely impact the river itself. And my honest opinion here, based on the rather minimal request to go over the 5,000 square feet and its proximity and setback to the riverfront, it's in the outer riparian, it's right next to a single-family home which is already in place from the previous order of conditions, that it will not adversely impact riverfront. That's my honest opinion of this. So I don't see any adverse impact if the commission were to approve the amended order request, but I wanted to have Matt and have an opportunity to explain what exactly is being proposed. It's being regraded to adjust the topography and then replanted with buffer zone plantings, native plantings. I'm fine with that. The original proposal had clearing in the back, getting into the buffer zone towards the river, and that's where I had the issue with. So that's been taken off the table, and now it's just expansion on the side lot line, access on one side of the house, gravel area, driveway for the golf cart, and then grading and revegetation for the remaining part. So when you're talking about that revegetation, does that reduce to 377 additional square feet if you're kind of getting a credit for that, if you will?
Yeah, no, that's, no, the 5,300 square feet is the permanent impact.
Permanent impact, okay,
Yep.
okay. So, no other comments?
So the buffer plantings, once the buffer plantings are in, there's still gonna be 5.
Still be 53,
Correct.
77.
Correct. Yep.
Permanent impact, yep. Permanent alteration.
Yeah.
And for clarification, Matt, what is the size of this area that you were just speaking about that will have no hardscape, but will be planted in native vegetation? Square footage.
It's, I don't have the exact number. I know it's about, it's about 10 foot in additional width from what the prior limit of work was by probably 60 feet, so it's probably, so if it's 10 by 60, 10 by 50, 500 square feet.
500 to
so,
600 square feet?
Yeah,
That's what we're talking about.
that'll be replanted, yeah.
It's still almost 400 feet of mitigation plantings that could be brought in somehow to make up for this.
All right. No other questions or comments from the commissioners, agents? Then I'll entertain a motion if there is one.
I think I would feel comfortable approving this if there were more mitigation plantings. I don't see why there needs to be permanently altered more than 5,000 square feet within the riparian zone. I think the patio can be reconfigured, I think that area in the back can be planted. I'm struggling making a motion to approve this with it being over the 5,000 square feet.
Okay. I'll default next to Aaron. I'm just going by seniority. Is Aaron willing to make a motion?
I share Alex's concerns.
Aaron shares Alex's concerns.
So no motion. Sandy, are you willing to make a motion? Oh, is she still speaking? Sorry.
No, she's not.
Okay. Are you willing to make a motion, Sandy, on the proposal?
No, I'm not doing this, modifications and no mitigation.
Quite honestly, I feel similar to that, and I'm not willing to make a motion either. So we have no motion to proceed. Is there a motion to deny the request?
I think we can make it, if your applicant would be agreeable, I think we could continue this. And the back can be reconfigured to add mitigation plantings, so that you basically need 377 square feet of mitigation plantings somewhere. If that means, pulling back or like reconfiguring the patio to include them. But I mean, these lots were created knowing that this restriction was on there. I think that we can work to something. But to just like keep adding little pieces and being like, oh, well, now we just need another 400 square feet. If you would like for us to continue it, we can continue it. If you think that.
Yeah, I would say, if we could, let's continue it. I'll discuss it with my client and see what they would like to do, and if they want to make the modifications that you're suggesting, I can do that, and I'll get that resubmitted to Drew. If they don't, we'll withdraw and
Okay.
I'll get back to you on that, but probably just
Yeah.
withdraw without prejudice, and then it just stays with the original approval.
Right.
So,
Yep.
So for clarification, we're looking for 377 square feet of additional
Of
mitigation to
plants.
offset
Yep.
where we're at.
So
One to
when
one.
would this be
So that would be for March 23rd at 6:15.
Okay, is there a motion then to continue to,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue to March 23rd at 6:15.
okay, thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, take a roll call vote. Alex?
Yes.
Sandra? Aaron?
Yes.
That's a yes, and I vote yes as well. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah. Yeah, we can go back to see,
You have,
Jackie, the applicant is here for 152. We have actually the owner here at the meeting, so. Michael, Mr. Price? Mr. Price, you're here for 152, right? Yeah. So we were having technical difficulty getting Jackie into the meeting. It's very hard to hear Zoom participants for audio. Do you mind representing yourself for this hearing?
No, I don't mind representing myself.
Great. All right, we're gonna open up the hearing then. Just give us a moment.
I'm a little hard of hearing, so.
Yeah, well, everybody just make sure we speak up.
Oh, okay. The reason why I'm here is
hold on one second. Let me,
Jackie?
say again?
Jackie, we're having really bad audio reception from people participating via Zoom, but Mr. Price is here and he's going to present the project because he's here in the room.
You continue that.
The project,
Take the microphone out.
Can you say that again, Jackie?
the project is,
hold on one
I
second.
need real silence. I can't hear Jackie, the applicant's representative. Sorry, go ahead, Jackie. It's okay. We have everything we need here. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, let me open up the hearing, sir. I'm going to back up our agenda to the 6:03 hearing for Michael J. Price, 152 Pompanesett Island Road. This is a proposed vista pruning, and the representative is the homeowner. And this is a notice of intent. Okay, we're set.
has anybody any questions about this? Are there any questions?
Well, if you just want to give just a brief description of what it is you're
Yes, sir.
proposing. Yeah.
I've had the property at 152 Pompanesett Island Road for 45 years, and when I purchased the property, Lawrence Lynch put in riprapping along the water. And at that time, we put Rosa rugosa along the top of the riprapping. And every year, we've cut it back to about 30 inches high, and grows back, keep it healthy. This year, we were informed that we couldn't cut it without permission from the Conservation Commission, and here I am.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. I had an opportunity today to be on the site to look at.
Sir, again?
I had an opportunity today to be on the site to look at the bushes that have been trimmed.
Just cut about 6 inches off the top,
Right.
and it just cleans it up.
And
The whole thing is no higher than this table,
right.
and there's no view that's blocked or anything like that.
And there's a lot of bittersweet invasive vine that's grown in between them. Do you
Well,
plan to
there's,
try and take that out, or?
We try to keep it all Rosa rugosa, but we've got other vines that have to be pulled out, cut back, and they come back anyway.
They're hard to do.
And also, every now and then we get, especially on the little stairway going down to the water, got some poison ivy that has to be dealt with every year.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's pretty plain vanilla.
Let me ask you one other additional question. When you're standing in the backyard facing the water, the
Yes,
property line that would be to your left, is there any plan to be trimming the vegetation that's on that lot line?
no, the only vegetation besides the Rosa rugosa is where 152, where my property abuts my neighbor going toward Katuitt. And people by the name of Moskowitz own that property. And there's a big rose bush there right beside the stairway going down. You can see the right of way, or there. My house is just to the left of it, or up a little bit. And, that's the only other vegetation. My wife is a avid gardener, so she's got plants a lot of flowers, bushes, all around the house.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions. Other commissioners, questions, comments? Anything from Aaron, Drew?
Aaron, do you have any questions? No questions
No
from Aaron.
questions. You all said, Alex. Questions from anybody here in attendance? Hearing none. Drew, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Not much to add, only that this request is, it doesn't fit into our normal vista pruning protocols. It's end to end. I think it's pretty obvious why. It's really in the interest of keeping the rugosa rose healthy. This is based on professional feedback from the landscaper who's been caretaking this vegetation for years. So she thoroughly explained it to Dan and I. We understand. And it's entirely your discretion to grant this type of vista pruning, considering when you look at the photos, it truly is just rugosa rose. There's no trees. It's really just one species for the most part. So to grant end-to-end pruning in the interest of really keeping this healthy, rugosa rose is, it's a native invasive at this point, but it does help to anchor the bank, probably more so than most types of vegetation. So keeping it healthy, I think, is important, and we recommend approval of this, close an issue of this notice of intent request.
And I have spoken intensively with Jackie, she's the landscaper who's on right now, and maintaining this rugosa rose actually keeps the root system healthy, and in this area, that will help maintain the coastal bank. And this is a section, as you can see from the overhead map that was shown earlier, that the spit is right across from it. So any stabilization there is key, and Paramount needs to be kept in place. And this has been kept in place for so long that it is a benefit to the bank.
And in reality, it's really, I know we're saying vista pruning, but it's not to get a view.
It's really to maintain.
It's maintaining.
This will maintain the integrity of the
Right.
Okay. I'm open to a motion.
I just feel weird
I think.
about the perpetuity issue with that. I don't know,
We can make condition that they notify us when they're getting ready to prune. That's, goes along with every other vista pruning
okay,
order of conditions that we issue.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with them maintaining for the health of these plants, but I don't want planting
Yeah.
this in 30 years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
And then if there was any, in that agreement, if there was going to be any change to the vegetation on the bed, the conservation would have to be notified beforehand. And with Vista pruning as well, we usually have that on site real quick. I say real quick just for this case, this one instance. And that would be to see the health of the Rosa rose, but also just to point out if there is any bittersweet or any poison ivy that can be pulled and treated that when they do all the cutting at the same time.
Well, there's plenty of that.
So, yes, yes. So, and that is something we are aware of, and Jackie is aware of as well. She has said she has pulled it in the past, and that she is at it every year, making sure that it's maintained.
So, I'll make a motion to close and issue the NOI for 152 Pompanesett Island Road with the condition to notify the Concom prior to any annual.
Okay. Do I have a second to that? Thank you, Sandy. Discussion amongst the commissioners. We have a motion that's on the table. I'll open this up for a quick discussion, if there is one. Anything from Erin, Joe? I can't hear if she's.
Nope. She says no comment.
Okay. Anything? One thing I would add to the mix, what if in a sequence of time, these bushes have decided they're no longer wanted and something else is planted in this location? Does this Vista Pruning Authority continue, or even say a successive owner that comes in?
I agree.
Where does that leave us with that?
Vista pruning is typically, when there's an order of conditions issued for vista pruning, it carries on, because there's a boilerplate condition that we have in every order of conditions issued for repeated activities like beach nourishment and vista pruning, that it passes on to any successor in interest or successor in control. So if the house is sold, if it's passed on to relatives, et cetera, this right carries with it. However, if there's any alteration, and we can, again, create a condition for this, if there's proposal to rip out, to alter the area from its currently existing condition, can require that the Concom be notified and then have proper oversight and permitting moving forward, depending on that situation.
Okay.
Somebody might not like that kind of bush down the road, who knows?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Jackie with the landscaper was just saying they have no intention of doing that, but if they did, they would certainly notify us.
So, with the condition to notify Concom prior, did we already cover that, or do we need to amend the condition that leave it on the table?
Well, I just wanted to bring it up before I call for a vote, because it's a concern that I have, that,
Same,
somebody
right.
came in and said, hey, I don't like these kind of bushes, get them out of here, and all of a sudden now we're dealing with something else.
Right, so
So you could amend your motion if you would like to.
to
the
what,
condition.
how would you notify them?
I think the concern we want to cover is if the vegetation changes. And, I mean, we're making this motion because of the nature of this particular species of vegetation. Its ability to stabilize the embankment, it's not native, but for all practical purposes, they're everywhere here now. And it's,
So we have the
It's easy
condition
to
to
maintain.
notify Concom prior to any maintenance.
You could add a condition, word a condition, notice to Concom of any future proposed alteration in this area.
Okay, so I'd like to amend the
motion on the table, right?
I'll amend it to approve and close for 152 Pompanesett Island Road with the condition to notify Concom prior and the condition to notify Concom of any intended changes in vegetation.
Okay. We have a second for that amendment? Thank you. Any discussion on Alex's amendment to the motion from commissioners? I think you do. Okay, then we will vote on the amendment first, and if that passes, we will vote on the original, the new motion. Okay, so I'm calling for a vote on the amendment to that motion. Alex?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Aaron? And I vote yes as well.
Aaron voted yes.
Yes, I heard that little squeak a little bit. Okay, so now I'll go back to the amended motion to see if that will carry as stated.
Yes.
Yes. Sandy?
Yes.
Aaron? I vote yes as well, so the motion carries. We're good.
Thank you.
We're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's that one little hiccup, sorry about that, but we want to get it right. Beautiful backyard. Standing down there watching the water. Good spot. Okay. And now it's-
Oh, this one.
Yeah, one over there is a kitchen. Okay, so I am now going to move to the 609 hearing. This is for Robert S. Durant, trustee of 43 Horseshoe Bend Way. Proposed removal of an existing cesspool and upgrade to Title V septic system. Representative is Cape and Islands Engineering. This is a request for determination of applicability continued from February 23rd. Good evening. I have your name and
Good evening, Mark Dibb with Cape and Islands Engineering. So yes, we are continued from the last hearing. I'm going to keep this relatively short. We did revise the plans to include innovative alternative technology for the property as well as UV treatment. We did not reconfigure the septic system at all. It could be moved maybe 4 or 5 feet further away from the water, but we've chosen to put it where it is to avoid the naturally vegetated area at the easterly side of the site. So with the IA system, we believe we meet the requirements of the Board of Health as well, Title V requirements as well as conservation requirements.
Okay. Thank you. Questions, comments from commissioners? Aaron, do you have any questions or comments?
No comments.
No comments. And so the configuration is staying with that piece that's kicked over, right?
Correct, yes. We could kick more over, but then we start going into natural
Right.
vegetation and things like
So
that.
we're going with the original design of
Yep, just
the
with
leach
the,
area, but IA.
yes.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments from those in attendance? One person giving a thumbs up, they're happy about that. Drew, is there anything you would like to add?
Nothing to add on to the comments I already put in, other than Board of Health said they will review plans for the proposed IA fast system upon receipt of plans, and I don't know if that's taken place already, but that was their most recent comment, so. Property is limited to 2 bedrooms. Agent recommends negative determination.
Thank you. All right. I'd accept a motion if there is one.
Yep, I'll make a motion for a negative determination for the RDA for 43 Horseshoe Bend Way.
Thank you, Alex. Second to that?
Second.
Thank you, Sandy. Discussion amongst the commissioners for the motion that we have on the floor. Hearing none, take a roll call vote. Alex?
Yes.
Thank you, Sandy.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. I heard that. That's a yes, and I vote yes as well. Motion carries. Thank you.
Mark, you should have set a timer. That was your fastest.
The next one's gonna be faster.
Put that one down for the record. Moving on. 612, Robert S. Durant, trustee, 33 and 37 Horseshoe Bend Way, proposed removal of an existing cesspool and upgrade to Title V septic system with increase in flow. Representative, Cape and Islands Engineering. This is also continued from February 23rd. It is an RDA. Good evening.
Again, Mark Dibb with Cape and Islands Engineering. Same response with this one. We did add an IA system to this one as well. This one, the system is as close to the street layout as possible. It is technically, we're going from a 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom, but they're also utilizing the entire lot. It's basically 2 lots combined together to achieve 30,000 square feet in order to do that. Otherwise, again, we're adding IA to this project as well.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you. One question I have, will the lot lines be redrawn so that this is indeed on the assessor's map a single lot, or will that still remain divided as lot 1E and 2E?
It's under common ownership, so technically it's
Okay.
basically combined. I don't believe we're gonna go through an A&R process to formally remove that line,
Yeah,
but
I don't know if
legally
even
it's basically
necessary, but
combined.
I thought I'd ask. Okay. Any questions, other questions, comments from commissioners? Anything from Aaron?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, those that are in attendance, questions or comments on the proposal? Hearing none. Drew, is there anything you'd like to add?
Only just adding Board of Health comments that they will review the IA system plans upon receipt of the application plans, and that the property is limited to 3 bedrooms per Board of Health requirements.
Okay. I'm open to a motion if there is one.
I'll make a motion for negative determination for the RDA for 33 and 37 of Horseshoe Bend Way.
Thank you, Alex. Is there a second? Thank you, Sandy. Any discussion on the motion we have? Hearing none. Alex?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Aaron? That's a yes. I vote yes as well. Motion carries.
Thank you.
2 fast ones.
That's a kind of.
No pun intended. They're both fast systems, right? Very good. 609, 612, 615. Now opening the 6:15 hearing for Brendan P. Giblin, 90 Pompanesett Island Road. This is a proposed demolition of an existing dwelling and appurtenances, construction and maintenance of a new single-family dwelling, garage with pile-supported guest suite above, in-ground swimming pool, fencing, pool cover enclosure, new patios, landscaping, hardscaping, and a Title V IA septic upgrade. Representatives Cape and Islands Engineering, this is continued from 1/12/23, 1/26/23, 2/9/23, and 2/23/23. It's a notice of intent. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mark Dibb with Cape and Islands Engineering again, and Nick Crawford with Crawford Land Management. So I'll go through first a couple of plan changes we did, and then some documents we submitted at the request of the commission at the last hearing. This is, I know you listed a number of hearings. The first couple, I think we continued to work with Drew and on some staff things, and we've been before this commission twice, and so this is the 3rd time. As far as plan changes, you'll notice that between the proposed pool and garage, there's a walkway in front of the garage to some steps coming out the side in between. And we had some patio area running along the pool, in between the pool and the garage. So that was basically hardscape that even projected into the velocity zone. So that hardscape has been removed from between the pool and the garage. There was also a area of hardscape between the pool and the house that ran all the way to the end of the deck and back, which was more hardscape as well in the velocity zone. We've left just enough patio in that area so that they can get out from the under the deck area over to the pool while still being on hardscape. So that was a further reduction of hardscape from the plan. We've also provided 2 documents, one from Cape and Islands Engineering. Give me 1 second. So the Cape and Islands letter starts off, what we did was documented the amount of structure and impervious area in the velocity zone. if you read through the letter, there's actually two sets of numbers. The first set under the existing conditions area and proposed conditions area, per building code, per the building inspector, per the way structures and velocity zones are looked at, if a portion of a structure is in a velocity zone, the entire structure is in the velocity zone. So the first set of numbers, the existing conditions, describes that there's 1,317 square feet of impervious area and structure in the velocity zone. What that means is there is a portion of the house, it's primarily a portion of the deck and stairways that is connected to the house, it's part of the house, so if there was ever issues with that deck, it could damage the house as well. So per building code and per zoning and building regulations, that entire structure, existing structure, is in the velocity zone, as well as it has significant habitable space below base flood elevation for even the AE zone. Under the proposed conditions, you'll see there's actually a reduction of impervious area and structure in the velocity zone. And what we've done is to identify that the garage structure, which again is on piles with some living area above, but it's per zoning code and per building code for a velocity zone. That entire garage, again, even though that you see the velocity zone line cuts right through the middle of it, that entire 557 square feet is counted as in the velocity zone. There is also the deck behind the house, which structurally is designed. It's not connected to the proposed house. It's structurally designed to be anchored, to be an independent structure. So again, even though the velocity zone cuts through that deck area behind the proposed house, the house is not included, but the entire deck is, not just the portion of the velocity zone that it runs through. And then the remaining number, the 204 square feet, is that area of pool that you see. Again, the velocity zone is that blue line dissecting through the pool, through the garage, through it, is that area right there is the area of pool. There's a small area of patio still left in the velocity zone, and that is 204 square feet. Then in the paragraph below that, I think I provided this information as well to the commission, as it felt it kind of matched Paul's request. Is just what is the square footage of impervious area in the velocity zone, not considering this structure classification. And you'll see that under existing conditions, it's 25 square feet, and under proposed conditions, it is actually greater at 603 square feet. I provided those because that, per the wording and request from Paul, I think that's the numbers he was looking for, and that includes, the end of the pool, the patio, things like that. So we did provide that information. I do feel that, we continue to feel that the house, the main house, the deck, and the garage structure are all going to be built to today's current codes and regulations. We do feel it's an improvement above the existing dwelling that is very susceptible to both velocity zone wave damage as well as just general flooding. The entire lower level is below base flood elevation, inhabitable space. And then the last thing we did was to apply similar drainage characteristics to what might happen with floodwater. So, if as an engineer, you can create, or you can analyze the amount of runoff that would be created from this property. And we've provided calculations that show, and right in the tables of calculations, again, there's some increased impervious area, but there is also a significant reduction of areas of mulch and landscape, in dirt, basically, So that increased impervious area is offset by all the new woods, the new vegetation, the plantings. We're proposing almost 3,000 square feet of mitigation and plantings, when we're down to a required mitigation at this point after some of these newer changes of only 1,883 square feet. So we still are comfortable and we feel we meet the regulation 25, that this will not propose a significant impact. We believe it's actually a betterment for the project. That entire green area on the plan is right now, it's dirt or grass or just, you know, it's the family's community space right now. So the trade-off, you know, for this project is that, other than the light green area, where, you know, that's access around the structure. Again, and it's even we even have a proposed fence which will delineate that access versus the restoration area. So the family's congregation area now is that patio behind the pool, you know, which is all much further away from resource areas. It's kind of controlled in a way. So that is their new congregation area. Crawford Land Management did submit a document as well. I'll let Nick just cover a few of the points in that, and then we'll leave it to questions from the commission.
Good evening, Nick Crawford from Crawford Land Management. We submitted 2 additional documents. One is the diagram and one is the letter that addresses both the benefits to the project as well as directly references Regulation 25. So if you look at the diagram, I hope it's clear and easy to read. I think it is. You know, it gives you an overall sense of just how much increase there is to the native vegetative buffer to the top of the coastal bank and the salt marsh versus what exists now. The area that's shown in the you know, diagonal stripes with the light green underneath and the dark green over the top, that is all existing lawn that will be converted to a native vegetative buffer that will, you know, I'll just hit some of the highlights. Will enhance wildlife habitat within the buffer closest to the resource area, reduce the potential for erosion, sedimentation, and storm runoff going into the resource areas, and will improve the ability for the land subject to coastal flooding to dissipate wave energy and absorb floodwaters. In addition to that, we directly addressed Regulation 25. It's mostly pertinent to 25B and 25C. So 25B says that the width of the native vegetative buffer must equal 20% of the average depth of the lot. So we did the calculations. The lot is 190 feet wide or deep. 20% of that would be 38 feet. The average depth of the proposed native vegetative buffer is 46 feet. So we're significantly over, you know, the minimum amount that's allowed. In addition to that, it says that 25 2C says that 30% of the land subject to coastal flooding shall be left naturally vegetated. The total lot size between the property line and mean high water is 29,600, approximately 29,620 square feet. 30% of that area would equal 8,800 square feet. So that would be the minimum required to meet that requirement. As proposed, we are at 17,000 square feet. So we are almost, we're just a little bit less than double the amount required. And those are, you know, the new documents that we submitted, along with the changes that were proposed by Mark. You know, we feel that this project is definitely a net benefit once everything is completed in entirety. And I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry, I still have a lot of questions, but it's my job. So, Mark, we're going from 25 square feet under the existing conditions of impermeable hardscape coverage, whether it's part of the existing house. And then as we move into the proposed conditions, it's 603 square feet. So I started with my own scale on the older map that we had at the last meeting, and I actually didn't get that high, so you're higher than I thought. But it's hard, going with just a ruler. And then we have two HydroCAD printouts. One is for the existing project site, type 3 24-hour, 25-year rainfall at 5.75 inches. And then there is the sub-attachment 5S for the proposed project site, same type, 24-hour, 25, rainfall 575, runoff area, the exact same, 2417. There would be a substantial increase of runoff if we went to a 50-year storm event or a 100-year storm event, or God forbid, we had a storm surge and we had a foot or two of water come in. And I know it's hard to put that into a HydroCAD program, but the point that I'm making is there are a lot of other scenarios that could be run to show a much more dramatic runoff. And that, in essence, is where I was going in the last meeting. What I mentioned to you is that hardscape materials not only severely limit the absorption factor, it brings it to zero. And I know you guys have done a wonderful job with the mitigation. It's got to be the best proposal for mitigation I've seen in a long, long time, in terms of the graphics and the species and everything else. But I have a lot of questions about the mitigation as well. So my question is, why not run several model programs? They're not hard to run. They're 5 minutes to hit the button, and I know computers can be tough. Dan had a lot of trouble here tonight.
It's actually easy. It's a new rainfall amount. It's basically a click of a button.
Yep.
And we can provide that. I'm going to anticipate that, yes, runoff will increase, but it will increase for the existing condition in equal amount that will increase for the proposed condition. We can definitely provide that verification and the calculations to support that. Yes, it increases. What is not, and that's just what is not actually tabulated into this is that's just because existing doesn't have roof drains. Existing doesn't have things like that. That's just comparing the different surface types existing and proposed. It doesn't even incorporate the roof drains. Believe it or not, it does not incorporate the roof drains.
Okay.
So, we're still just based on the different types of materials by turning the lawn into, or dirt lawn into naturally vegetated area, it just provides that much more runoff. But we can certainly supply different types of calculations. And again, this is the way drainage would be calculated. A flood will come in and go no matter what's there. I don't necessarily say these are apples to apples comparisons, but it's the closest I could get to describing the surface types of existing versus proposed.
I was surprised to look at the runoff volume, both existing and proposed, coming right down to the exact same cubic foot. I mean, it's kind of like winning the lottery. At first I thought it was a mistake, to be honest with you. I was reading this earlier today, and I started flipping them back and forth, and I said, maybe they just put the wrong titles, because everything is identical.
Believe it or not,
I
thought it would be less under proposed. I really thought we had that much new vegetation,
right.
So I was very happy that it, didn't go over, because this is not for a residential project like this is not a typical type of analysis. But I think and I think I will incorporate the volume of if I'm gonna recalculate and add more storm events, I'm gonna add the roof drain capacities and things like that. And I think you'll start to really see that reduction come in, but, you know, if at the end of this, we're asked to do that.
My intent, as you know, was to get that square footage for everything in the velocity zone, because we all know that's the first place the water's coming. And my concern was, where is that water going? And, you know, I like what you did. It's great. It saved me a lot of measuring, even though I did measure it. So you come up with more than I did. But the HydroCAD studies have me baffled that they're right on the button. And I really would like to see, you know, 50-year, 100-year. I mean, typically when you run these things out, you go anywhere from 5, 10, 25, and on up. Just to see. Then at some point, they're not going to come out identical. I think we both know that. And what I'm looking for is, what is that cumulative effect of the impervious surfaces that are sitting in that velocity zone? And I'm not convinced at this stage that I have enough information based on, I mean, thank you. It's wonderful. I wasn't going to run the calculations because I don't have the program. But I'll turn it over to the other commissioners for questions or comments they have. You have to speak a little bit louder.
Yeah, I like the mitigation plan a lot. But I'll hear your concerns.
Okay. Sandy, any comments or questions?
No, I think I pretty well asked about mitigation and also happened on the site too. I'll worry about the velocity.
Can this be built so that the structures, the pool and the garage are completely at the velocity zone? Is it possible on the site to do that with the house as you have it?
The house is out. The deck on the back is partially in. The pool in the garage, there's a 40-foot setback. It's kind of, you know, the lot on the northern end is much bigger than, so it cannot be without further significant reduction. I mean, I think we've reduced almost from our initial submittal. We've the required mitigation, which is kind of has reduced by over 1,000 square feet. But so. In short, the answer is no, without a drastic change to.
Does it ever happen where a waiver is granted for the distance from the road? Who's that under?
Zoning.
CBA?
The zoning grant waivers for that?
So we have applied for the, you know, it's an existing non-conforming for ZBA. Right. We have not applied for a variance.
I mean, they approved all sorts of things. I feel like
it would require about a 10-foot variance just to slide some components forward. I don't know how that would, usually they rely on your approval.
In the scheme of things, they like us to go first so that there are no changes and they can deal with a finished product, because it becomes a tennis match. It's back and forth, back and forth. And I know they're under some pretty tight guidelines in terms of creating no new non-conformities, so you might have a hard time with that. I don't know. That's their purview, it's not ours.
I mean, can you like ask them to allow it so that they can have this and stay out of the velocity zone? Can we like, I don't know.
I don't recommend that.
No.
It feels so.
I mean, they're their own purview. I think it's inappropriate for another board to make a recommendation on a private project.
But they rely on our recommendations and they don't even listen to us when we don't want them to approve things. So I'm confused as, I guess, if so the velocity zone is what is at stake here, is something being built in the velocity zone. And the only way that it can be built and not in the velocity zone, what I'm hearing, is that Lake zoning would have to offer a variance with the house plate.
Or the applicant would.
Or the applicant could reduce
shrink the
footprint.
project down. I mean, it is a swimming pool. And
It's not the only option, is a zoning setback. The other option is to reduce the footprint to keep it out of the velocity zone.
Right, and just do like a spot.
Anything else?
Yeah, it's really hard to approve the velocity zone, even with all the plantings, everything. I think that's kind of. It's really hard to do it.
Well, I have some real reservations about things in velocity zones. That's when the water's coming.
I mean,
It's the most dangerous area of the floodplain.
last week wasn't even a storm, and the wind event that we had, like the amount of erosion and the flooding that was happening, like I feel like it's coming and it feels really just hard to.
Other comments, Drew, from Aaron? Questions?
Aaron, do you have any comments?
I was just gonna echo their concerns that if there's some way to get these structures out of the velocity zone or reconfigure it in some way, I'd be much more comfortable approving that.
So Erin basically said if there was some way to reconfigure to get out of the velocity zone, she would feel more comfortable with that type of approach.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna follow up with a couple quick things. Again, I think, the pool and the patio areas are being used as their community areas. I think if we do reduce I think you're asking for, are you asking for just all structure or the pool? I guess what I'm getting to is I think they're gonna seek other area for some communities. So I think we're gonna start taking a look at this mitigation plan in order to just, they do have kids and, just some additional area back in that main green area, things like that, will be reincorporated back into the project, just to trade off on the recreational use that they think they were gonna benefit from. I don't know if you're willing to say the pool is the biggest issue in the garage and the house, I don't know if you're willing to give that feedback right now. We could definitely entertain, take that back to our client as well as perform the few additional calculations. I'd like your feedback on that right now, and maybe we can.
Well, I can tell you that I don't think it's a secret that my concerns are things in the velocity zone. So, as much as you can get out of there, the better, as far as I'm concerned. I will also say that I've had an unusual amount of time to spend with this project because of the numbers of continuances. And I've been looking at things and reading a lot. And I've had a discussion with both our agents about mitigation in land subject to coastal flow. And we have a difference of opinion. People do. And as I said earlier in my statement, opinions based on facts are very healthy discussions to have. There's been an awful lot of focus on land subject to coastal flow. And it happens in zoning, it happens here, it's happening in this town because every storm we get, we're losing a lot of coastline. I've been reading the regulations, I've been reading our bylaw, and I've been reading Chapter 12 mitigation, and the difference of opinion is that when I read Mashpee Bylaw 172.2, which is our jurisdiction, it refers to all the resource areas, and this obviously is one. And then I come back over to Regulation 25, and I look at all of the language and performance standards in this resource area. Land subject to coastal flow technically doesn't have a buffer zone, and everything that you've proposed, all the mitigation that you've proposed, is outside of buffer zones for resource areas, whether it's the salt marsh, the coastal bank, the dunes, you name it. There's a whole chart here that you've listed out, and you've got all the figures for our chart that is found in Regulation 12, referring to the mitigation summary at the top of the plan. It goes from 0 to 10 buffer all the way down to 50 to 100 buffer. And these are all riparian formulas that you're using. The more I read this, and the more I read the land court decisions about land subject to coastal flow, I'm just convinced, and I'm reading it in law, that land subject to coastal flow is the resource area. It's as much of a resource area as a salt marsh, as a dune, as land under ocean. This is the conversation that I had. And you are in the resource area when you make these proposals. At least this is my opinion. And I'm basing it on what I'm seeing in our regulations. So I'm under the impression that the mitigation needs to be much greater. You're not in a buffer zone with land subject to coastal flow. That land subject to coastal flow, whether it's the velocity zone or whether it's outside the velocity zone, that's a resource area. You're in it. So I think you're looking at the maximum amount of mitigation according to the chart. And the discussion that we've had is, well, these are for naturally vegetated areas. I get that. But when I read the chart, it also says for altered areas. And I'm at a quandary as to how much mitigation do we really need here? Because you're saying 3,398 square feet of proposed new disturbance in land subject to coastal storm flow. If my interpretation is right, then that's the amount of square footage that you need to mitigate. And you're inside the resource area, not in a buffer zone. And that becomes a huge figure. Maybe I'm wrong, but this thing keeps me up at night. I don't know.
I'm gonna I got two paths of my response. The first response is, obviously there's the Wetland Protection Act, and then there's your regulations. In the Wetlands Protection Act, there are no performance standards for land subject to coastal storm flowage. And it's about the protection of habitat, of structures, things in those. In general, I guess I disagree with the application of the mitigation to the land subject to coastal storm flowage. And I just, again, feel the upgrade of the structures to today's current flood regulations protects both the users of the house and the environment. Less risk of that entire house getting wiped out. I think the house as it is today has much greater capacity to cause damage and destruction in that area from a big storm than what we've proposed. But I know you've requested additional calculations, potentially requested, again, a reduction. So at this point, unless there's other feedback from that.
And I will continue my research into what I'm seeing here, because I'm in a quandary. I'm seeing it one way, and other people see it a different way. That's fine. It's a healthy discussion, and it would be something that I think should be resolved one way or the other.
And I think regardless of opinion, though, whether the land subject should be mitigated for or not, looking at the project holistically is still a net benefit. And I think that if you start to reduce square footages and reduce required mitigation, in the end, that we're going to end up with a less holistic project in the end. And like Mark was saying before, right now, all of the human activity is centralized to areas that are clearly delineated from all the naturalized areas. And I think that if we do reduce and, potentially some of these usable areas start to spill out into areas that are currently shown as naturally vegetated buffer, I think it's gonna be less clear and more apt to sprawl over the lifetime of the property, kind of. I think centralizing the activities is a big part of keeping the restored areas restored and naturalized, as opposed to kind of using lawn areas and not having a real clear picture of where one ends and the other begins.
Okay, so, Mark, are you willing to request a continuance so that we can see how much we could possibly get out of the velocity zone and provide a little bit more information with that HydroCAD program?
Yes, we'd like to request a continuance.
Okay. And I would entertain a motion for that. Do we have a date and time, Drew?
Can I offer some comments before?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I would just ask if there's any other aspect of this that the commission provide that information now before you grant a continuance. If there's any additional details, concerns, feedback, please make it known now, because we're getting into a number of continuances that I find problematic. So please be very forthcoming, think carefully while we're all here tonight, and provide Cape and Islands and Crawford with any and all feedback, so when they come back, they're furnished with all the information they need for you to render an informed decision.
All right, then let me poll the commissioners that are present here. Alex, is there anything else that you would like to have addressed at this next meeting?
Yeah, I think basically, I don't know how to think this one through anymore. I hear what you're saying about if they don't have a place to recreate, it's gonna sprawl, and the human impact on the land is gonna be greater if they don't have a pool and a fire pit and a space to congregate. I get that. Would we be more comfortable if it was just out of the 50 foot to the coastal bay? If it could just be like eked back a little bit further, maybe. Then that might do it, but I don't know.
Sandy, any further concerns that you would have now, or if you had some, we could email them out?
No, it's a tough one, because now we're trying to get
It
this
is a
house to fit this land. Just-
So nothing at this time. Anything, Aaron, that you would have, that you would bring up right now?
I think the only thing that I would bring up is if there's any way to get the pool maybe a little bit smaller, that might make me feel a little more comfortable and for inside the further out zone. That makes sense.
Did you catch that?
Barely.
So she was, any opportunity to reduce the pool, get it further, increase the setback from the 50 foot or out of the velocity zone, any opportunity to improve the setback.
So that's not a new concern, that's something that we already have.
Right.
Okay, then I would accept a motion for the continuance. Do we have a date and a time?
Yep, so it'll be 6/18 on March 23rd.
6/18, March 23rd.
Make a motion to continue for 90 Comprehensive Road to 6/18 on March 23rd.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Alex?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now calling the 6/18 hearing for Anthony and Meredith Stern, 106 Athens Road. This is a proposed removal of an existing cesspool and upgrade to Title V septic system. Representative GeoCape Environmental Consultants continued from February 23, 23. It's an RDA. Good evening.
Good evening.
Could I have your name for the record, please?
Glenn Harrington for GeoCape Environmental Consultants, representing the owners, the Stearns at 106 Catton's Row. This was a continued hearing. Just to recap, this property was newly purchased and there was a Title V property transfer inspection done. And during the inspection, there was a cesspool, which was the first component of the septic system that was deemed in failure. And the septic inspector at that time went and spoke to the Board of Health regarding the what to do as far as the upgrade of the system. And the Board of Health then told the inspector to fail the cesspool and replace with a conventional Title V septic tank. So that's when I got involved and designed the plan with a conventional Title V septic tank. The existing leaching pit did pass the Title V inspection, so the existing leaching pit is to remain. At the conclusion of the discussion at the last meeting, the commission asked me to go back to the homeowner and ask if they would consider putting in a D-Night for additional treatment based upon the water quality within the bay and also to improve overall water quality, period. And so I did go back to the homeowner, and the homeowner was willing to upgrade and include the advanced treatment. And so I revised the plan and submitted that for tonight's hearing.
Great. Anything else?
No.
Thank you. Questions and comments? Anything from Aaron? Drew?
Aaron, do you have any? No.
Glenn, what is the net savings, the amount of nitrogen that we're talking about from a conventional 5 that you came with the last time to this fast model of the D-Night system?
I'm sorry, what is the
reduction in nitrogen between the two, roughly?
Well, I think it's greater than 50%. Again, I think they're finding that the nitrogen for the single-family homes is higher than what the DEP said at 40, and I think it's probably closer to 60 milligrams or higher. And the systems are meant to get down around 19. And so I think that it's higher than a 50% reduction.
Great. Thank you. No further questions? Comments from people in the thumbs up from one person? Drew, anything you want to add?
Board of Health comments application for a system to be reviewed upon submission. And no other comments. Recommend a negative determination.
Thank you. All right. I'll accept a motion if there is one.
I'll make a motion for a negative determination for the RDA for 106 Catton's Row.
Thank you, Alex. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Sandy. Discussion on the motion? Nothing? Okay. Alex?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now calling the 621 hearing. This is for Joseph J. and Kathleen C. Seulo, 65 Redwood Circle. It is a proposed septic system upgrade. Representative is Engineering Works Incorporated. This is an RDA.
Good evening. My name is Peter McEntee with Engineering Works and representing the CLOs. This project is currently in notice of intent had been filed for the additions that they're preparing to put on the house, actually putting it on right now. In the process, the Board of Health went down to the site to look at the septic system. They determined that there were actually 4 bedrooms in the house that had previously been approved for 3 bedrooms, so that they made a request that the system be upgraded to a 4-bedroom system, which is what we did. So we've proposed a combination 2,500 gallon septic tank with a 1,000-gallon pump chamber, pumping up to 3 500-gallon chambers. The separation it's about 75 feet further from the water source. Then the leach pit, which is at the top of the inland bank, and it's 127 feet to the edge of the pond with the leaching system. And the vertical separation of the proposed system is about 10 feet higher than the bottom of the leach pit that's in the back as well. So we think it's a vast improvement over what's there. It's sized appropriately for 4 bedrooms. This went before the Board of Health on Tuesday, and they approved the variances that we're requesting.
Okay. All set?
Yes.
Thank you. A couple of questions I have. I was looking at this site today, and it was hard for me to determine. There's a narrow area. There were workers there. They had some type of a small bobcat that they were putting siding on. It was very difficult to walk between where they were working and all of the beech trees that are along that boundary. And I'm looking at this tank, and I'm assuming that a lot of those beech trees are coming out of it.
I think that they're probably going to have some sort of a, shoring to keep the cave-ins from, keep it from caving in on the side and encroaching on the abutting property. So.
But all of those trees that are along that property line, they're all coming out?
I don't know. The reason why we requested a 5-foot variance is because we could put it closer to the foundation, but the tank is underneath the cellar floor, so we didn't want to undermine the footings in the foundation.
The tank that's the existing tank?
No, the proposed tank. The proposed tank is 11 feet from the corner of the building.
Yes.
We had another concept where we had it closer so that we could keep the 10 feet from the property line.
Okay.
But where the tank is so big and it's deep, we didn't want to pose a threat to the structural integrity of the foundation.
Okay.
So we went for the 5-foot variance.
So in moving the tank to where it is, 5-foot set off of the property line, that whole area is a stand of beech trees.
Okay, well, I didn't.
If I'm looking at the right spot,
we didn't stake it out. I don't know exactly where it is with respect to those beech trees, so I can't answer that question.
The first thing that caught my eye was, okay, I can barely squeeze through where these guys are working. And then I looked at the plan on my laptop, and I thought, if that's going there, what's happening to all these birch trees, or beech trees?
Yeah.
It looks to me like an awful lot of trees have to come out in order to get this thing in. You were on this site.
Yeah, with that, it would depend on where you're going to flag for the septic, your proposed septic to go in. But my concern with that would be the root zone, which you're going to be digging down so far, which would compromise the health of the tree. So I understand
Okay.
the whole setting.
Well, the other option was to put it down at the top of the inland bank where there's a walkout cellar. So the trade-off is we're closer to the resource. If we're down there, we're less deep with respect to the existing grades. But it's also difficult to get the machinery down in the back there as well. So, and it was like you had some mitigation area that you were proposing under your order of conditions in that area as well. So. It's a tight lot. There's not many options, and unfortunately, my original idea was, of course, to change the plumbing, but the entire basement is finished, and they don't want to, tear it all up to do that. So.
And there's a shed on that property. I assume it's on that property. I don't see it on any of the plans, so.
We,
Typical, I think it was. 10
yeah,
by
we
10 or-
took a lot of the information from the existing work that had already been done. I had information provided to me by the surveyor, Rob Sykes, and then we had the plan that was done by Wet Tech. And, you know, we tried to limit the amount of work that we'd have to do since a lot of it had already been done. So we took information from what they provided to us.
All right. Other questions and concerns from commissioners? Does Aaron have anything?
Aaron, do you have any comments? No.
I mean, we could conceivably turn that tank 90 degrees and be closer to the property line, maybe more than 5 feet. But the thing is, again, we get into the situation where we're getting close to the building, you know?
Right. And it's, to turn it 90 is not gonna.
Well,
solve
we're gonna
the
still have
problem
an
with the
area
trees
that's gonna be
there.
dug up, yeah.
Right.
Why isn't this an IA system?
Well, it meets all the requirements of Title V and the local requirements as far as its distance from the pond. I have set it up so that if and when this new regulation is promulgated through the state, there's access to the inlet manhole where we could put in a sledgehammer. Sledgehammer is an innovative technology that's actually proving to be very effective in removal of nitrogen and phosphorus. So I think I sent some things to you, Drew, about it. That was approved on another project we did down on Nohoyden in the flood zone where we did new construction and put sledgehammer in as an IA treatment for that. So it's something that can be dropped into an existing septic tank. In this case, I didn't want to go ahead and design first of all, I don't think we can get a microfast that deep, you know, and be able to service it. So I think those options went out. This thing here with the 4-foot inside diameter manhole, it's just a 16-inch diameter cylinder that can get dropped into that unit and just provide a trench for to have an air source from the house. So it's an easy retrofit when that regulation does come through. So
Why not just do it now?
I think the owner would prefer to wait until the regulation goes into effect. So
And how far is the pump chamber from the top of the inland bank?
the pump chamber from the top of the inland bank, I don't have a measurement there, but it looks like it's approximately 80 feet or so.
I have put that down in one of my comments, Pete, because and this is based on a discussion with the health agent, any component of a septic system that's within 75 feet of any resource area, including inland bank, resource areas identified under the bylaw, requires an IA system. So you don't have a setback measurement for the septic pump chamber.
So within 75 feet of,
75
I could
foot.
not find that regulation. The only thing I could see was that it was from a water course, not from a resource area. Are you referring to the Board of Health regulation?
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't find that regulation.
Okay.
And nor could Zach, and all I could see was 100 feet from a resource area. I mean, not a resource area, a water course.
Waterway.
A water course.
A water
And a water course is defined by, well, the best definition that I could find was it's defined by the maximum amount that the water is going to rise in the water body, and
Right.
that's controlled by an outlet flow device, that pond. So,
Okay.
so
I'll have to talk to, because my conversation, and this is not just, not specifically about this proposal, but similar one, any proposal that's within 75 feet
yeah.
of a resource area, is that's what the agent was saying is, a resource area as listed and identified under 172-2, which is all of them.
Okay.
Whether it's an actual wetland or a wetland resource area like a bank, coastal inland, dune, beach, those sorts of areas. So I guess it's kind of unclear, but I would like to get clarification on that, just for
Yeah, I mean,
similar projects moving forward.
And if it did come to the point of, a misinterpretation on my part, it is something that could be easily changed with a
Yeah.
plan revision, putting the sledgehammer in there. And I'm not opposed to it, it's just that I just don't feel like I'm all for the environment, I see the algae blooms, but I don't want to volunteer my customers to have to put it in. It's like,
Right.
if I was told I have to put a, $20,000 system in, just because,
Right.
I'd rather, work for them, and, I'm not sure that they'd be opposed to doing it, and it is all set up so that if they have to do it, it's ready to be done. But,
Right. I understood.
it's an easy change to the plan, so.
Peter, I have a follow-up question. The existing leach pit to be pumped and filled with sand and abandoned, is that already filled with sand? To me, it looked like there was a big sandy patch.
I think it's still operational, to be honest with
It
you.
is still operational?
Well, I was wanting to say, you see on the picture, bottom right,
Bottom right, yep.
I didn't know if they,
Well, I haven't been there since we did the soil evaluation, so I don't know what additional work has been done. But at the time that I went down there and, did the soil evaluation, prepared the plan, I was still operational. We went down, opened up the tank, got our elevations on the T in it.
okay.
So,
All of the cement structure that you see in that bottom right picture, that was not there today. It was just a big sandy patch. And I just assumed that, all right, now I'm standing right where this leach pit is going to be done. And where it was all sandy, I thought, well, maybe they've already done that piece, I don't know.
they may have. It doesn't look like there's anybody living in there, so.
Oh, there's nobody in there, no.
Yeah, okay, so, they may have already taken care of that, or, I think that if they did, we'll need to find out, because if it was just covered over, it's not pumped and filled with sand, It needs to be opened, it needs to be opened up and pumped, yeah.
Okay. Anybody in the audience that has any questions or comments? Hearing none, we're all set. So, I'm a little bit short on protocol here. Are we going to continue and get the measurements for this, or how?
I would say, well, I don't know if we have to do it formally in the form of a hearing, then, I guess.
If you can shift the pump chamber to keep it certainly out of the 75 foot, obviously I want to have another discussion with Board of Health about what they consider to be setback from wetlands and what constitutes wetlands, if it's water courses or whatnot. But if you can shift it and provide a revised plan, then I don't see the need for a continuance. If not, then there probably should be a continuance, just to get clarification from Board of Health about that setback.
Okay, well, I didn't give a measurement there, unfortunately. I should have, but
Yes.
so I can get that measurement, and if we need to move it a couple of feet,
Yeah, that's probably, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you could
and
provide
if
assurance
not,
tonight, or if you needed time to get the measurement, and that's, we just want to make sure that it's,
Yeah.
just
I don't
without clarifying that
I
setback.
don't have a scale with me. So,
So could we approve this, or negative determination it, if, with the condition that it's all moved out of this, within 75 feet of the top of the coastal main? That's what we're looking for, right?
That's what I asked Pete, if
Of the inland
there was an opportunity, in your professional opinion, to shift, regardless of not knowing the exact setback, but in your opinion, here and now, is there an opportunity, let's just say, for argument's sake, it's within the 75 foot. Would you be able to shift and move to get it out of that?
yeah,
Okay,
it's gonna be tight, very tight,
right, okay.
And if it is triggered by language that, we don't know about as far as the 75-foot requirement, I can change it to, putting in a sledgehammer,
Okay.
as a pre-treatment.
Okay, yeah,
So,
yeah.
And I'm going to circle back before we even think about a motion to the concern I have for all of those beech trees.
Okay.
I really, if it's gonna move, I'm still not even clear how many beech trees we're talking about taking out. There's a lot of them in there. That's a thick stand of beech.
Yeah.
And when you have to go down as deep as you do, there's gonna be root structure damage, and I'm concerned under an RDA, we might have a lot going on here. And if it were all staked out, and I could say, okay, we are gonna lose those 2 trees, or those 5 trees. I'm just looking at literally a strip of beech trees that runs down, you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. And how many of those are going?
Yeah.
Well, why don't we just go with a continuance that he has the opportunity to stake it out? We can get clarification from the Board of Health and get this into the right
That's fine.
frame to make an informed decision.
Sure.
Okay.
That's fine.
Are all of the X's on the plan trees that are coming out, or is that just where like spot elevations are taken?
X's on the plan?
The X's.
Those are.
Those are just spot grades.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elevations.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. We can stake it out.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
So I'll make a.
Date and time?
So date and time, March 23rd at 6:21.
March 23, 6:20.
Like to make a motion for a continuance for the RDA for 65 Redwood Circle to March 23rd at 6:21 p.m.
Thank you. Second?
Jim?
Thank you, Sandy. Any discussion on, any discussion on, did I ask you?
You're clear what you're looking for, what we're looking for?
Oh, yeah, you want to have it staked out, you want to know what the impact is on the trees, and if we have to move it because of the trees, and
Okay, I was making sure.
we'll make some revisions.
Great.
Okay. No discussion on that continuance request? I'll take a roll call vote. Alex?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you. Now calling the 6:24 hearing for Richard Whitmire, 83 Bay Shore Drive. This is a proposed vista pruning. Representative is Marsh Matters Environmental. This is a notice of intent.
Good evening, everyone. Mike Ball from Marsh Matters. Yes, as you mentioned, this is a vista pruning notice of intent at 83 Bay Shore. I believe some of you were at the site today. This is a half-acre parcel, as you know, abutting Hamlin Pond, Marsh, in the Seabrook Shores neighborhood. The Whitmires would like to establish a permanent vista corridor, and I think it's probably best you've seen it, but this is a supplementary exhibit to the plan that Engineering Works prepared, just because it shows specifically the type of action we want to, the Whitmires would like to do on each individual tree in the corridor, of which there are 16. So I'll be referring to this figure. This is a 30-foot wide corridor, which is just at your 25% requirement of lot width at the resource area down by the salt marsh. So our resource areas are salt marsh down at the end of the lot, no work occurring in the marsh. The Vista corridor is entirely within the coastal bank. Coastal bank comes up very close to the edge of the lawn on the property. And it is inclusive of your 1 foot increase under your regulation. So most of the activity that's being proposed is removal of branches up to a certain height. There are some proposals to remove trees, dead trees, and some small live trees entirely. Richard said that there was questions about, or he had a discussion with you, Drew, about removal of some of the smaller trees. And I told him that what I would do is I would just revise that drawing. I have it with me right now, that just, instead of having it say remove flesh pot, I just say remain no action.
Yeah, there were 2 trees in particular in the chart, and thank you for breaking it down to that level of detail. It's very helpful. Flags, but there's 2 that exceed the 5-inch DBH that you identified as viable for removal.
Yeah.
And those are the two that I had an issue with, because anything 5 inches or larger in diameter, breast height, is considered a mature tree and therefore cannot be removed.
Yeah.
So it can be pruned, if it, improves something.
Right.
But it can't be removed, so, and there were two that you identified.
Yeah, I think I see it, it's the white oak
Yep.
there, and there it looks like there was a
And
pine.
the 7-inch pine.
7-inch pine,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
those two.
Is that something that you could condition, or would you want this revised? I mean, I could.
I would prefer it be revised. It's a simple
Yeah.
thing to just take that out of take those out of the removal
Yeah,
category.
yeah, right,
and into
right.
pruning. Yeah.
Right. If I took the white oak out, but I realized for that pine, I still have it in as remove.
Yeah.
I could cross it out by hand, initial it, and hand it in tonight. I'm just thinking of a way we could do this without having a
think
continuance.
That's fine, as long as it's acknowledged on the plan is fine. It's a minor thing, so, but I don't have a problem with it if the commission is
Okay.
okay with that.
Okay. Was there, I know I had listed, I think T14 and T15 on the sheet were a sapling and a sassafras. Were those, and the one above it as well?
Yeah,
Was
'cause
there
you got-
concern about those, or?
No, because you got 4 to 5 DBH for the black oak sassafras 2-inch DBH. It's 5 DBH. That's
5
the cutoff, the
Okay.
threshold for between sapling and mature class, based on our definition of
Right.
that differentiation.
Did you know that DEP on their new BVW forms, they're now calling anything above 3 inches a tree?
Really?
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Wow, that is interesting.
Yeah. It just came out the other day.
Better read through those regulations again.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do that right now.
Okay.
Are there any questions I can answer regarding the proposal?
I was there today, and it's a tough climb to get down that bank. And then I walked down to try to come in along the salt marsh, but that wasn't gonna happen either. So all I could really observe was from the backyard, I could see the flags for the 4-foot pathway.
Yeah.
And those larger pitch pines, I know there's a couple of dead ones that busted off at 15 feet up.
Yeah.
And there's some that show some pretty serious signs of turpentine beetle.
Yeah.
Those are coming out, right?
If I interject, yeah, the Hamilton Tree was there. He's actually had 2 arborists there, and they immediately saw the turpentine beetle infestation. Not something it's not really in my wheelhouse,
Right.
pests. But so in my description, I talked about leaving chunks of wood. Typically, you do that because it provides a wildlife habitat feature, so I like to do that. But if you'd allow to have that large diameter wood just pulled out of there.
Problem goes on.
Yeah, so it's hard to control those beetles, but if that would be one change that the
That
arborist.
large down tree you're talking about?
So any large diameter pine that's being like the dead wood, they're just saying you should just get it off site.
I agree.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, just because of the species.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Okay.
You don't want to attract more beetles, so,
No.
yeah, makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, the problem's just still there. It's just in a different form.
Right.
Mike, the big pitch pine with the right, it's got like a big right angle to it, saddle, is that one going or is that staying? I didn't see any, from what I could see from the distance back, I didn't see any damage to that tree. I mean, it's weird looking, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You'd have to tell me which what number it is.
Is it 07 maybe? Or 08?
Let's see.
I've got a picture of it on my phone.
On the top right photo, on the very right of the photo.
Very right.
Oh, that's one, yeah, that one. Talking that one there.
That one right there. Is that a pine? It's weird to see a pine that has a shape like that.
Yeah, that was a pitch pine.
It is a pitch pine.
Is it a pitch pine?
Yeah. And I couldn't see damage on it from the backyard.
Yeah.
Because it's down there a ways. And I just didn't know. I couldn't read the tag on it. I said, is that one going?
I think that's either T7 or T8, which are both it's a 12-inch or a 13-inch pitch pine, and we're just saying prune dead branches up to 35 feet. Dead branches. Up to 35 feet.
Identified to be pruned, not
So,
removed.
yeah, so that, if that's a viable, then we wouldn't touch the larger.
To me, that looks viable. It looks like it's been self-pruned by nature.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the 30% ratio of
Yeah.
That's the one right there.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one right
Yep.
here, yeah.
Okay. I couldn't tell. I couldn't read the tag. I'm not climbing down there.
Yeah,
I will
there
go
is a
back.
pathway on Kenny Marster's lot right next door. He's got a little pathway that if you know it's there,
I saw it, but I didn't want to go on that property.
he's not gonna shoot you. I don't think he'll shoot you.
I hope not.
His wife might, his
But
wife
we don't
might.
have a release form, so I figured, I'm not going there. Okay.
Jenny's not too happy about the proposed buffer expansion, so I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. We could have targets. They would be green, just like those, too. Other questions or concerns?
I just have one question. I saw on the plan there was, for that gravel right in front of the sliding door.
Yeah.
Are they increasing the size of that?
That's part of the proposal, so right now, that's a 6x13 gravel pad. It's got a little iron border on it. So he would like to bring the edge of it out to the corner of the house. So it would become a 10 by 18 foot pad. And same material, just crushed gravel. So that would be a 102 square foot increase, and so that's something he'd like to do. According to your mitigation requirements, that would require 500 square feet of planting, which is, he's asking for relief for. As you can see, he's very close to the edge of the natural woodland. So if the commission was willing to allow that without mitigation, he would love that. But he's also willing to pull that off the plan. I actually have a revised plan here if it's something the commission won't entertain. I guess my argument is that amount of gravel added, obviously I recognize your mitigation requirements, but that addition of gravel would not have an impact on the function, in my opinion, of the coastal bank, either stability or even wildlife habitat provision. So I don't think it's necessary to provide impact mitigation if there's no impact, but I fully recognize your calcs.
Now, is that going to be the same grade? Or
He had no grade change. Originally, he wanted to raise it up, and I said, you're not going to be able to put any fill, so we
I
just,
get that concern right there. If
Yeah.
there's no grade change for me, that's a,
yeah.
but that'll be.
And it's all gravel.
It's all gravel, it's all permeable, crushed stone.
Any other questions or concerns?
Aaron, any questions? No.
Anything else, Drew, that you'd like to add? No. Anybody in the audience that would like to speak about this? No? Okay. Entertain a motion if there is one.
I'll make a motion to close the issue for 83 Bay Drive with the condition of the submission of a revised plan eliminating the removal of any trees over 5 inches in diameter, and that the large pines can be removed off-site per arborist recommendations when they're removed to the wetlands. And for maintenance in perpetuity pending, as long as we have the revised plan. And with the condition that the homeowners, notify the commission annually when they're going out to do any work or not annually, but whenever they want to do any maintenance of
Okay.
this corridor, that they notify Concom.
That's part of the.
That's boilerplate.
That's part of the business.
Yeah.
And do you want to address the proposed expansion of that area of the ground?
Yep, and so long as no fill is introduced with the gravel.
No grade change, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. Is there a second to that? Thank you, Sandy. Any discussion on the motion that we have? Hearing none? Sandy? Yes. One out of order, sorry.
Yes.
You vote yes. Alex?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
I vote yes as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
great.
Motion carries. I just
Can
want
I-
to make sure you guys are paying attention.
Drew, can I give this to you? I just marked it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
I thought that gravel area might have been part of the original proposal, because I know the 4-foot path had the flags said, part of the original order. Didn't know what this was.
No paperclip?
What's
No
that?
paperclip?
Oh, sorry.
This wasn't like,
They're getting so expensive these days.
Gotta keep it within the budget, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, we also have two certificate of compliance requests, one at 627, 7 Chart Way. Are we good with?
Both of them passed.
They both passed.
No issues.
So we'll go through that one and the next one, done,
Yep.
perfect. The hearing for 633 Town of Mashpee, we're gonna have to hold on that. Town council has not finished his review of
Yeah.
Regulation 5 and 30
Correct.
at this time.
Yep.
So hopefully that will be
Yeah, we should certainly have it
next
for
meeting.
the next meeting.
And that concludes our hearings, and that circles us back to pre- and post-hearing agendas. Is Dan, you gonna take us?
Is there anything we can be signing while we're doing that?
I can pass it around.
Yep.
Thought we could take that out of there, just temporarily.
Alex?
Screen right now is, this is Mark's properties and his daughter's property over here, 101 and 103. This is Meeting House Road, and this is the driveway that gets out to the two subject properties. This land here in the middle is Lopez Conservation Land. It's deeded conservation land to the commission. There is an easement that allows this driveway to remain through Concom land. I think this used to be Lopez family land, and it was
Yes.
provided to the Conservation Commission at some point. I don't even know when, but.
Around 2000.
Yeah, okay. So that's the background. So there's no question about the legality of this easement, the existence of it. It's not in question at all. And with that, I'll hand it over to you, Mark. You wanna?
Okay, well, we started a project to get my daughter to be able to build down on that partial, lot 1, I guess it was, 101. And some of you may remember we were looking to do a land swap. That process fell through. So speaking with Evan from the town planner's office, Matt from Cape and Islands Engineering, they proposed to do this and use the roadway as frontage, which was allowed legally through the town. So since I have had that done, it's been processed. My daughter now owns her piece of property. I own my piece of property, and I'm trying to get a place for my daughter to build a home in town. And so my request is, there's a couple spots and to meet the fire department's and the town planner's wishes to widen that ancient way to 14 feet. And there's a couple of spots, one being where not that pole.
These are the two poles
Is it-
leading towards your house.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you got me backwards. The one you're on right now, where it's right on the edge of the roadway right there,
Yeah.
where the arrow is. I would like to move that pole back 4 feet in order to take that corner of land to make the 14 feet. As you can see on the right-hand side, there's a black oak and a white oak there that's right on the edge of that driveway. And that pole needs to be replaced anyhow because it's older than I am, over 50 years old anyhow. I'm older than 50, so the pole isn't older than me. But I'd like to move the pole back 4 feet so I can take that edge of the road off 3 feet to widen it to meet the 14 feet specification for the fire department request. And down that same photo, down on the next one, I'd like to move that back about 2 feet so I can take that little corner off that goes into the road to make that 14 feet. So I'm just trying to, at those two spots, widen that road enough to make it 14 feet that is required by the fire department and the town planner. Currently, at that point right there where that pole is, we're looking in the bottom left-hand corner, there's only 11 feet. That's why I'd like to go back 4 feet to give me that pole off the road a foot. And the other one down below it's just making the 14-foot span. That's why I'd like to make it, drop it back 2 feet and have 14 plus feet for the
Was there
roadway.
some a couple of few arborvitae that needed to be.
There's some arborvitae's going down, and
I don't know
it's
if I
hard
got
to see in that
photo
photo
of them,
there.
but-
There's like 3 there that my dad planted when he owned the property there, and since Eversource brought somebody in a couple of 3 months ago and pruned the heck out of them because of that power line that's going down, and I don't even know if they're gonna survive.
Right.
But if you requested, I would replace those arborvitae's, and, that's what I'm looking to do, just basically, and that top left picture shows one of the arborvitae's curving up, but between there and the next pole, I would probably, for about 150 to 200 feet, I'd probably be taking off, beginning down here a foot up to the next pole where I was telling you I'd like to move back 4 feet.
Yeah.
So basically just grading it to widening it out on the left-hand side, which is the better side to do, because on the right-hand side, we may run into an issue with washout if we.
Yeah, it's an embankment on the right.
It's an
It slopes
embankment.
down on the right.
If we grade on the left, we have no issues with erosion, that's the word I'm looking for. And the road should stay in pretty good shape. It's very hard material. I've worked at the fire station forever, but I was also in construction, so over the years, I've kept the road well maintained with hardener and different material that I've come across, and since I've been out of that, I have somebody that buys me stuff. I buy it, he brings it to me, and I fill the potholes and maintain the road. So that's what I'm looking to do, so I can get my daughter and my grandson in a home next to me.
I've got a couple of quick questions.
Okay.
On the right-hand side where it's a steep embankment that goes down, is there any standing water or any issues? down there?
About 150 feet, 175 feet. It's on the border of the state property where the cranberry bogs run down there on the, I'm not sure what that property is
Yeah,
called. It's the state property.
It's state fishing game, so
Yeah.
he's got, so this, this shot right here, this is heading down the driveway towards the property.
Yeah.
This image here is back in the road. So all of this side is where the Concom land is, off to this side. They're here when you're heading down the driveway towards the house, off to the right, somewhere right around here. It slopes down and then it meets a certified vernal pool. But it's more than 200 feet away from that location, the road.
Okay.
So there
That's
is.
what was going on in my mind, what's down at the base of that
No
embankment.
wetlands jurisdiction. I went out and measured it. It's not within wetlands jurisdiction.
But there is a certified BP that's
There is.
further up.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're well outside the no-touch zone for that.
Yes.
Okay. It is unusual. I've never seen this request since I've been here. Is
Yeah.
there anything that we have to deal with, like with the historical commission or, because it's an ancient way or altering?
What I would suggest, and I have since put in a request for a legal opinion, just to cover the base, that's all. I don't think it's gonna be an issue. But what I would suggest, and you're right, it's it's not something you commonly see, but given the extreme minor request of 3-foot widening, that you approve this request, you can just have someone make a motion to approve it, pending any sort of, commentary, feedback from town council. Yeah.
Okay.
So the motion would be to approve because it's not a permit application. So.
Any questions that other commissioners have? Anything from Erin online?
Erin, no questions? No.
She's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody in the audience that would like to?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's good, thank you. Lynn Barbie, 73 Surf Drive. So, when we were doing the LCP, we talked about the ancient ways and making sure that we protect the ancient ways. And I wasn't always really clear what we were talking about. Now I see. My question is if when this is changed, would these changes make this roadway ancient way lose its designation as an ancient way, or does it stay as an ancient way, or does it become a driveway? I mean, either way, I think it's a good thing to do, but it's, for me, it was very informative that people are using these ancient ways. They're not just, I have a path behind my house, which is an ancient way, even though like nobody uses it, because, yeah, whatever. But that was my only question is, if it has a designation of ancient way, will that be removed if these changes are made?
I think the only way
I don't know that it matters.
an ancient way would be changed is if there was a change to the easement or, legal designation of it, and the widening, and I can certainly present that question to town council, as we're already gonna be inquiring just about any legal concerns with the requested widening.
It's curiosity for me.
Yeah, I highly doubt it would take it out of an ancient way status or affect the easement in any way.
We want to protect them anyway, no matter. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Nobody else? We're good? I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the request to amend the road for the ancient way that leads to 101 and 103 Meeting House Road, pending any feedback from town council.
Okay.
Is that the right way to say it?
Perfect.
Yep. Sandy? Thank you. Any discussion on the motion that we have?
Aaron says no.
No? We're good? All right, I'll call for a vote. Alex?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Aaron?
She said yes.
And I vote yes as well. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thanks for your patience.
You'll let me know.
Yeah.
Technology got you. We
All
will.
good things come to those who wait.
Sometimes.
Good night. Do you want me to start with the?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
is Dan gonna do them, give you something?
Sure. Do you want to run through the pre-posted?
Because they look pretty straightforward.
Oh, yeah. So for Red Brook, road culvert, construction, we're still researching funding opportunities. I have looked into a whole bunch, and I have two that are narrowed down now for possibilities, and then it gets into timelines. So that's what we're gonna be looking at next, is which one's the most viable one, and then which one we're gonna go through with, basically, and then fingers crossed for approval on that. So Upper Quadrant Restoration, there's no new updates on that. Bylaw Subcommittee, we're still waiting for town council, so we'll discuss that later. John Pond and Santua and Milfoil, no updates there. Shropshire Bog is being finalized by Army Corps and by MEPA.
NEPA, yeah.
Local comprehension plan, no updates on that. Land acquisition subcommittee, the agent and the town planner have been working on prospects for that, and there will be an update to this later.
Yeah, that's not, we need something more than that.
And
Like, I'm
it's-
happy for you guys to be working on it, but like, there needs to be more.
Yeah, I understand. I just need time.
No.
I need time. It's really, I don't have anything else to say about it other than I need time to actually
Like, another
organize it.
company went under agreement this past week on a pond, and on Zillow, I woke up to the pending, like, status, and I was like, we haven't even had a chance to just talk about these and like figure out a game plan.
Yeah.
To just figure out who the right entity is to support in acquiring appropriate properties, if they're appropriate for acquiring.
Right.
I would love to talk about all that as well, because I have one in mind at John's Pond that is absolutely in need of attention and is primed for acquisition. And I think that one is, and it connects directly to Washington Reservation, John's Pond trails, all the trails are intertwined.
Yeah.
So I think that's a conversation that should be definitely on the agenda to be had there.
Okay.
But so we can't have, it's not appropriate to have land acquisition discussions here. You lose any kind of leverage
Yeah.
for it to be here. It needs to be like a subcommittee.
Yeah, right now it's between the agent and the town planner, so.
Right.
Why don't I put you in charge of that then, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Here you go through one last thing.
one of those things.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, Mashpee River Woodland Trail modification, that is still ongoing. We had some new correspondence from the trail bike club with some new ideas, so we will be conversing with them over their thoughts on that, on what they proposed, and if possible. I don't know if it's possible yet. So that's the biggest thing. Mashpee guided tours are now posted for March. Herring warden, assistance from the USGS to install measure to reduce predatory bird mortality at Mashpee River Herring Run. And the Harbor Management Committee, public scoping meeting on March 11th from 10 to noon at the Mashpee Public Library.
Just a quick additional word on that herring warden update. So the USGS, they've sent a couple of employees who are really just very interested in helping the town address this bird mortality issue with the Mashpee Herring Run. So they've made some amendments to the existing fish ladder to try and deter access of great blue herons and black-crowned night herons and osprey into areas where fish were congregating and staging and not moving. Therefore, they were more readily available for predation.
Right.
So one of the measures we did was, or that's taking place, is there's a secondary spillway where the fish were ascending and hitting a dead end. We put boards in to physically stop them from doing that, so they are strictly directed to the ladder only and not the spillway anymore. So that will automatically eliminate predation because the fish simply won't be able to access that area anymore. And then there's another deterrent at the top of the fish ladder where it meets Mill Pond, again, to deter access for predators. And also, the biggest issue right now with the fish ladder is that where the concrete flume meets Mill Pond and then the channel that goes up to Mashpee Wakeby, there's almost no discernible flow. And the fish just kind of mill about until they finally find their way to the channel, which is a distance of over 50 feet. And so that's a hot spot for predation.
City targets,
Yeah. So concrete filled buckets lining a pathway just above, the buckets, pickle buckets will be just above the water line, and that will help to create some sort of flow. It'll also help to break up the fish when they come into the pond from the fish ladder, so they're not all congregated into one group. So this is all experimental. This is all just to see if it works, and if it does, fantastic. If not, we'll look at something else. But
By
just
the next meeting, I think you're gonna be able to tell us something, because they're gonna be here.
they're going to be here very
There'll
quickly.
be osprey and herring.
Osprey, one was already spotted yesterday.
I've already
Really?
seen, I already saw a blue heron at Mill Pond.
Everything's happening earlier.
I mentioned to Drew that I was reading the fishing blog, and they're running up at Middleborough already.
Yeah.
I've been looking, I have not seen scouts yet here,
Yeah.
but they're coming.
Oh, yeah, any day now.
And then just a final reminder, everybody's got till tomorrow to do your conflict of interest.
I've got my
I'm glad that was on here because, I wasn't thinking about it.
And that's it.
Okay.
Just the commissioner ID badges.
Oh yeah, the commissioner ID badges, if anyone still is interested and you haven't sent us your headshot, please do so, and then we want to send them all at once and get them all done at one time.
Now, mine expires in June. Should I
Yeah, you might as well.
start working on the new one?
Yeah. Or we can just get a new one issued with the same photo if you're fine with that. Just get it.
I had one issued like 2 years ago and I picked it up. It's still there. Like, what are we
Probably
on?
not.
Okay.
That's why you have
We'll get it. We'll get a new one made though.
All right, I'll probably get a new photo in. I'm a little grayer than the last one. Okay, I have no additional topics to add, so I would entertain a motion for adjournment if somebody wants to leave.
I'll make a motion to end.
I thought you would. Thank you. Sandy? Okay. Any discussion?
I need to sit down.
I think we did well. It's only 8:35.
If we had started on time, it would have been.
Okay, then I'll call for a vote.
Yes.
Alex, yes. Sandy, yes. Aaron?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thanks, Aaron, for coming in.
If you ever get a chance, please come to the office.
Yeah, Aaron, when you get a chance to come in and sign. Okay, great, thank you.